What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gearhead Garage. I apologize for being a little late. I know originally I said I was going to try to make these videos every Thursday, but last week was just really busy. Yesterday was real busy for me, so a little over a week off, but we're back on it. I was going to do some bike shop videos this week because I have a few projects I'm working on down there. But the weather's been really nice, so I wanted to get in another vehicle walk around, do another mod overview, and do another drive. This time it's going to be of another xrunner I have. So this is my 2011 Toyota Tacoma X-Runner. I've had this vehicle for, about 13 years now. I bought this truck November of 2011, brand new off the lot. It was the second xrunner I've owned at the time. But yeah, basically I just kind of been building it ever since. So when I bought it, I did daily it for like the first year and a half, 2 years, until I sold my other fun car that I had at the time. And then once I sold that, I decided to throw a supercharger in this and make this the fun project car. So it's kind of what it's been ever since. So it's been through a lot of different stages, as you can imagine, having it such a long time. It's been on like 3 different suspension setups, like 4 different exhaust setups, a couple different sets of wheels. So when you had a vehicle this long, you just change stuff, and once you get to this long of ownership with it, you get bored of stuff you originally modified, and then you have to modify it again. So I'll kind of give you a walk around of what we got going on. We'll start off with the exterior. Bodywork wise, it's all factory body stuff. It does have another Truxedo Low Pro tonneau cover on it. The spoiler is made by my buddy Josiah over at Strictly Street. This is his shorty spoiler. So you can see it works pretty well with the tonneau cover. Nice tight gap there. Josiah is also the one that makes the brake caliper brackets that I have on the other truck and this one. Taillights are actually the OEM taillight. They are just painted with a candy clear with a little bit of black mixed in to make kind of like a black tint. So they're kind of just glossy like the rest of the body, but still shines out good through it. There's good light, so it's not like super dark going down the road. Debadged the tailgate. It's got a aftermarket third brake light, just black to match the rest. It does have the front windows tinted to match the rears, and some AVS window visors. A shorty antenna, Craven speed. The front lights, we have the Morimoto LED fog lights. The headlights are some random Chinese ones that I found. I don't even think they make them anymore, but I bought them because they were the projector style. I really like the style of them. Light output, not that great because they use a really small bulb that's kind of usually used for fog lights. So that light output is okay. Doesn't have a high beam function though. So it's not the best, but for how little I drive this thing at night, it's fine. And these do have the old school angry eyelids on them. These were sold on eBay for many years, but they have since gone away. Instead of the vinyl ones I have on the other truck, these are actually like a fiberglass piece that is double-sided tape on there with some 3M adhesive. Factory 2011 grill. That's a 1-year only grill for 2011 with the honeycomb style mesh, and then the emblem's just painted black. So for exterior stuff, that's pretty much it. Wheels and tires. These are a Enki RPF 1 18 9.5 plus 15 offset. Pretty beefy fitment on here with the General G-Max tires. These are the G-Max RS. They're like a summer tire. And these are 275/40s all the way around. So pretty beefy setup, but it sits like damn near perfect. almost completely flush. There's no rubbing or anything. I'm really happy with this wheel and tire combo. The front brake setup is similar to the other truck. Like I said, the strictly street brackets, Tundra calipers, and the Lexus ISF 360mm rotors. I did have these calipers powder coated by a company, PC Powder Coat. They did the calipers, the rear X brace, and the valve covers you'll see here shortly. They're a metallic, kind of sour green apple, I think is the prismatic powder coat's color. The center caps were made by this guy on Etsy, I believe. He doesn't sell these wheels with center caps, believe it or not, so he made these custom ones for me with the green TRD lettering in them. Show you the X brace in the rear. That's also powder coated. There you go. So suspension setup that's on here currently. It's a 3-inch drop in the front and rear. Uses DJM control arms up front and just a factory strut up front with the factory spring. In the rear, the frame is notched, 3-inch block, and QA1 single adjustables. Go to the interior. Nothing too crazy in here. I did delete a lot of the silver again with the window switch panels, the rings around the tweeters, around the dash here, around the climate control, and everything is all blacked out. Same thing around the steering wheel. It has a NM Motorsports double adjustable short shifter. This is a TRD shift ball that I kind of custom painted here. It'll focus. There we go, with the lime green. I did rewrap the armrests like in the other truck with the black micro suede. And then this truck actually has black carpets, which are not factory. The black carpets are out of a 2012 plus Tacoma X-Runner. I just used a VIN off my buddy's truck and got it through Toyota. It's kind of nice just to black out the interior a little bit more. WeatherTech floor mats. It does have the factory subwoofer that came in at 2009 plus. I painted that black as well. It used to be silver. And then it has a little light in the middle that used to be blue, but I changed the lens to green, so now it shines green, so it matches the truck. Stupid little details like that, but you know. Go on to the other side, show you the gauge setup. So we got a gauge mount from Craven Speed, and I have a AEM boost and air fuel gauge in here. So we'll show you what we got under the hood. And that's what makes this truck so fun. That is the TRD supercharger. Back when you could still get them. It's a Magnuson supercharger with TRD embossing on it. So you can still get these superchargers through Magnuson. They just don't have that TRD badging on them. Like I said before, I do have those valve covers that are powder coated in the green metallic. So this supercharger is just the factory TRD supercharger, but it does have a 1-step smaller pulley on it. Factory pulley is a 3-inch. This is a 2.8. This is a pulley made by my buddy over at URD. It's called a stealth pulley, and I'll try to show you why. The part number on it, as well as the measurement, you can see 3.0 there to the side. That is all matching the factory pulley. So if somebody looks under here, they're like, oh, it's a factory pulley, but it's not. It's actually a 2.8. So a little sneaky stealth mod there. I have the URD True Cold Air intake. Puts the filter right behind the grill there. Grabs all the cold air. And it also sounds really good with the supercharger if you're outside the vehicle up front. Really can hear the supercharger whine really well. Exhaust setup is a URD full spec U system. We have ceramic coated equal length headers going into a Y pipe with a resonator, and then a muffler with the cap back going out the back. So no catalytic converters on this guy either. Transmission is factory transmission. I do have that URD throw-out bearing upgrade that I talked about on the red truck. It has a URD lightweight flywheel and a spec stage 2 plus clutch. We'll get this thing fired up here once you hear it at idle. Overall, this thing's been through a lot of changes over the years, but I'm pretty happy with it now. Rides really good. Drives good. The power's good. And it's pretty comfortable. Stereo system is a Kenwood head unit that I've had in here for probably about 13 years, pretty much since I bought the truck. It does have the taco tunes. Speaker kit in the doors. I also kill matted the door panels. I used to have a bigger subwoofer box in here, but now I just have a little powered sub underneath the seat there. Works pretty good. I like it. And it's out of the way, so it looks all nice and clean inside. This exhaust really isn't that loud. I kind of almost wish it was just a little bit louder, but it's really nice for cruising. It doesn't drone or anything like that. The tune on this thing is still actually the TRD reflash that I got right from the Toyota dealership after I installed the supercharger. So all the work I've done on this thing has been right here in the driveway. So when I was done installing the supercharger, I just cruised it over to my local Toyota dealership. My buddy works there. He was able to throw the TRD reflash in it. So even though it has the other mods and the smaller pull weight, it's still running the TRD reflash, and it runs good. Gets about 8 or 9 pounds of boost, and air fuel ratios are right where they should be. Doesn't run lean or anything like that. It would be really nice to put a real tune in this thing, so I'm sure there's more power in it. The problem is just trying to find somebody to actually tune these things. So HP Tuners came out a couple years ago and released software for these vehicles, but like I said, the problem is trying to find someone to actually do it, because there's not a lot of these out there. There are some people that do tunes for four-wheel drive applications, Tacomas, but not really for like the street performance setups. And then the other issue I have is apparently nobody wants to touch a truck without catalytic converters anymore, so that's a whole thing. So get it out there on the road, we rig up the camera inside, try to get a decent view, and we'll go for a little cruise. Hopefully the camera stays put there. So this thing doesn't really get driven a whole lot, obviously. Has 48,000 miles on it now. Like I said, it was only really daily driven for like the first year and a half, maybe 2 years I owned it, until I put the supercharger in. And the suspension I used to have even lower than it is now. So like I said before, suspension in it is a 3 in the front, 3 in the back. I used to have basically a similar setup with the drop control arms up front, but I also had a drop spring as well. So back then the drop was 4 3/4 in the front, and in the rear I had a 4-inch block, so it was really low, like stupid low. It looked pretty sick. I had the wheels I have on the red truck on it at the time, and I kind of had to tuck tire with that. So it looked really sick, but driving it was just totally impractical. I had to have the rear shock set super stiff, so the ride quality was not good, and you would just scrape absolutely everywhere. So at this setup, it's a lot more comfortable. Drives similar to stock. I have the rear shock set up pretty loose right now because I don't have any weight in the bed, but it cruises along really nice now. It's not super bouncy, it's not really stiff, so it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I really like this NM Motorsports short shifter I have here too. This guy just came out with these about a year ago, and I got one of the first ones. And what makes it different than some of the other options out there is it's a double adjustable shifter, so you can adjust the height and also the location of where it sits. So I actually took about an extra inch out of his initial adjustment to where you could have had it the height set, so I made it about an inch lower just by cutting the rod. But I really like it. It's like a solid shifter. There's no bushing in there, so you do get a little bit of noise resonating through the shifter arm, but overall it's not bad. The feel of it's really good. Future mods, one thing I really need to do, it's so stupid that I haven't done it to this point, I need to put a true track in this thing. The factory LSDs in these are basically useless. They all one leg, so it's a one tire fire, but like I said, I do need to put a true track in it. I just don't really have anywhere around here that can install a differential, so I've just kind of decided that I'm going to end up buying a couple tools that I don't have, like a dial indicator to measure the backlash and all that stuff, and I'm going to end up probably doing it myself. About the wind noise there. She gets it pretty good. Like I said, with this TRD reflash, it's a bit of a freak. I've driven in a buddy of mine's truck that has a 2.5 pulley, which is the smallest pulley they make for these. He also has a 7th injection URD standalone Yukon ECU. So all things accounted for, his truck should be faster, right? Well, we took a ride in his. I didn't really say anything to him, but then I took him for a ride in this, and he agreed. He's like, man, he's like, for some reason, he's like, your truck feels a lot faster than mine. And I was like, you know what? I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to like say anything and kind of rain on your good time there. So I think this thing makes pretty good power. I do have a friend with a similar setup as far as mods go to this, same size pulley, similar exhaust setup. His truck made like 365 at the wheels, so that's kind of my best estimate of the power this thing makes, although I would love to put it on a dyno one of these days. So yeah, it's probably making around that sort of power, but it runs good. I'm not too mad about it. Surround's been driving me nuts. You can probably hear it squeaking and rattling over the bumps. Shut up already. sixth gear and just kind of roll into it casually, and it just pulls and pulls, and no need to downshift when passing in this thing. So besides the true track, like I said, I would love to put HB tuners in here and do a real tune on it, but like I said, it's a struggle to find somebody that actually wants to tune this thing since it doesn't have cats. I know the EPA's been cracking down on everybody, and you know that's an issue, so a lot of shops are just covering their butts and just not touching them. But a buddy of mine who has one I talked about earlier that has the 2.5 pulley, he's actually working on putting HB tuners in his truck and tuning it himself, because he ran into the same issue. He couldn't find anybody to tune it, and when he did find somebody to tune it, it's a lock tune, and he wants to be able to make changes in it, so that wasn't going to work for him. So right now he's kind of learning how to tune his truck on his own. He has a 2013, so his truck has secondary air injection and a couple other things that he wants to delete off of the tune anyway, which he already figured out how to do. So he's kind of in the early stages of doing that. He's also working on making some other changes to his truck. He's taking off the 7th injection, just running larger injectors. He's going to run a 3.5-inch intake tube with a Tundra mass airflow. So he's got a few other changes he's looking to make the most power he can. But once he figures out how to tune his truck, and I'm sure he will, because he's tuned other vehicles before, he's pretty good with that. So once he figures out how to get a good tune on an X-Runner, I'm going to have him tune this thing. But before I do that, I think I'm going to end up taking that URD stealth pulley off and putting on a quick change pulley hub. So basically you just press on this hub, and then you can buy different size pulleys to just bolt on there, so you don't have to use a puller and a press to change the pulley every time, which is frankly terrifying. So I would like to put a 2.7 pulley on here and see what it does. So I know some people have run the 2.7 pulley with the same mods, no bigger fuel system or anything. So this does have a Walbro 255 in it, similar to the air truck, and it's keeping up just fine. The air fuel ratios are good. It doesn't gulp fuel or anything like that, so. This thing's just so much fun. Cruise is great. You can drive it all day. It's comfortable, and when you put your foot down, she just goes, and it's reliable. I've only had a couple of mechanical failures in this, and it's all been aftermarket stuff. Last year I completely tore the hub out of the clutch doing some bang shifting, and it was a URD Stage 3 Plus clutch, the heaviest duty one that they make. So when I broke it, I texted my buddy Gadget, the guy who runs URD, and I was like, hey, I just broke the hub out of his clutch. And he was like, wow. He's like, congratulations, you're only like the second person to ever do that to one of my clutches. So my bang shifting is unmatched for one of these. As you can hear, we're scraping over some speed bumps right now a little bit. So that's going to be it for this episode. Reached my destination here. So next week, hopefully we'll be back on schedule on Thursday. We still have 2 more cars to cover to do these tours, but they're not as extensive as the X-Runners. They don't really have much done to them, if anything. So we might just do both of them at the same time. We also got to get to the bike shop and do some updates on there. So we got some stuff to cover. So hope to see you guys again. Later.